Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And yes, you read the title correctly. Donald Trump has now flipped the state of Michigan back to his column after he literally was leading it when Biden was still in the race on the RCP averages. But before we get started with the latest polling from the Real Clear Politics averages, and we're going to be filling out the map for all the swing and battleground states highlighted in yellow, make sure to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content, press like button, share this video. Don't forget we do have memberships. You can find a link to that in the description section if you are interested. So let's take a look at some, nationwide polling data for the popular vote and the direction of the country before we get on to those swing state polls. Starting off with the direction of the country, roughly 61% of Americans, 27% more think that the nation is heading in the wrong direction. Meanwhile, roughly 34% think it's headed in the right direction, according to Rasmussen Reports, a little bit right-leaning pollster. They usually overestimate Republicans in the popular vote. Meanwhile, they're more accurate with the swing state polling rather than the actual national popular vote. You take a look at Yahoo News, in which they think that 62%, according to the poll, the United States is heading in the wrong track. Right direction, 28%, so that's a 34% difference. So that's actually showing worse news for Kamala Harris. And these polls were both conducted in October 6th, extremely recently, obviously last week, and this month as well. Now, as far as that goes, you take a look at the national popular vote according to the RCP averages. Kamala Harris is leading Donald Trump by nearly 2 points, 1.8% to be exact, as of October 10, the day I'm recording this, obviously. And now, if you take a look at recent years past, you compare this to 2020, and in 2016, it is a fact that Kamala Harris is polling worse than Joe Biden did, because on the RCP average, at this exact point in time, in October of 2020, just 4 years ago, Biden was leading nationally over Trump by nearly 9 percentage points. Now it's gone down to only a little bit under 2% actually for Kamala Harris. And realistically, you apply that polling error, it's a 5-point polling error shift to the right in favor of Donald Trump, because realistically Biden won the popular vote by 4 on election week, obviously. So if you apply that polling error, realistically Trump is actually winning the popular vote by close to 2 points. And if you want to compare this to 2016, at this exact point in time in October, when Hillary Clinton was versing Donald Trump, she was winning the popular vote on the RCP averages by around 5 percentage points. She only won it by 2%. That's a polling error of 3 points. So when you apply that 3-point polling error, just like we did for 2020, Donald Trump is actually winning the popular vote by around 1 percentage point. So that's where we are nationally. She is underperforming Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton, as we all know, lost the election. So if she's underperforming Hillary Clinton, whom lost the election to Donald Trump, you can suspect that Kamala will also lose the election, which is why I think realistically Trump is the favorite to win. So let's start off with the western part of the United States and then move on our way up to the northeastern Rustbelt states at the very end of the video lastly. So starting off with Nevada, as of right now, according to the latest polling from the RSV averages, she's up by exactly a tilt margin of 1 percentage point in the state. Now, it is true that this state typically, unusually overestimates Donald Trump's chances, because any other swing state, they usually overestimate Joe Biden, obviously, and Democrats as well. But Nevada is that one swing state that is the polar opposite, in which it overestimates Republican chances. Therefore, as of right now, Kamala Harris has the advantage in the state of Nevada by a narrow victory, a tilt margin. It's going to be extremely close. The Hill and Emerson has her up by exactly 1% with 900 likely voters as of October 5th through the 8th. And the insider advantage, obviously, a Republican bias-leaning pollster has Trump up by 1. So any other poll besides the insider advantage literally has Donald Trump losing to Kamala Harris. And Atlas Intel, which you can argue is also a Republican-leaning pollster, I would say it's fairly accurate, has Kamala up by 3 points, which I don't think that number is actually accurate at all. I think it's going to be way closer than that. But she is leading in Nevada, according to RSV. And then Arizona, Donald Trump was winning this day by a tilt margin of almost 1 percentage point, the exact opposite of the state of Nevada. I think mainly the reason why Trump is winning Arizona is because it's a border state, number one. Number two is I think he will do better among independent voters, and a lot of the McCain-style voters voted for Biden in 2020 because he was seen as more as a moderate candidate. Obviously, Trump was seen as more extreme. And now I don't get how Kamala is moderate like Biden was. That's just not true at all. So I think a lot of them can go back to Donald Trump as they did in 2016. I think he will be able to get Maricopa County, and even if she wins Maricopa by 1 as a scenario, that's not enough for her to win the state. And Hispanic voters are really shifting towards the right. Not only in Arizona but in Florida as well, Cuban Americans, you name it. Which is why I think Trump can actually do better in Clark County in Nevada as well, and I think he might be able to flip Washoe. But as of right now, she will win that state, but Trump will win Arizona. Obviously, immigration is a losing issue for Kamala Harris. You take a look at the most recent poll, the Hill and Emerson. Trump actually has a lead of 2%, which is more than the average overall in the state of Arizona. You take a look at Fabrizio and Anzalone. Trump's also up by 2%. So these are consistent polls saying there's going to be one direction in which Trump wins Arizona by a lead margin. But it is slightly closer with the average. And then as for Georgia, meanwhile, Donald Trump is winning the state by about 1 percentage point, 0.8 also tilt margin to be exact. Now, we actually go back to Arizona really quickly. Biden had a lead of 3 points at this exact point in time in October of 2020. He only won it by 0.3%. Which is roughly a polling error of exactly 3-point shift towards the right when you add that polling error in favor of Donald Trump. So when he's only up by 1 point, he's actually up by 4, which is a greater amount, a lead margin when you do apply that 2020 polling error, which is why I believe this actually might be a landslide for Donald Trump. Because on average, there are roughly a 4-point polling error on every single presidential election. On average, there's a 4-point polling error, 4-point polling miss on every single presidential election on average. So when you apply that to every single swing state, it's looking like Trump's going to get 312 electoral votes if everything goes correctly in his way. Or you may think that the polling industry really fixed themselves and are making it accurate once and for all, which I just don't think that's going to happen. They underestimated Trump twice, not once, so what makes you think they're not going to a third time? So he is up in Georgia. I don't expect her to have high turnout as Biden did in Atlanta, the metropolitan area. Obviously, the suburbs is extremely important among African-American voters. She doesn't have the enthusiasm as Biden once did in this state. And it was the closest swing state in 2020, which is why I think it's going to be the easiest flip for the former president, Donald Trump. Biden only won it by 10,000 votes, 0.2%. Obviously, not going to be enough for Kamala Harris to overcome the votes. And keep in mind in 2016, I don't want to compare this to 2016, but Trump had won this state by over 5 percentage points. I'm not going to say he's going to win it by over 5, but still, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that Kamala's polling worse than Clinton, maybe that means she will do worse in Georgia as well. Obviously, a likely margin of victory for Donald Trump if that were to be the case. But according to the RCB polling data, without the polling error, Trump is still ahead in this state by a tilt margin. Trafalgar, obviously a right-leaning pollster, has Trump up by 1. That's actually not good news for him. The Hill and Emerson, I would say, typically overestimates Democratic support, has Trump up by 1 percentage point in that state. And then as for North Carolina, this is surprisingly closer than Georgia, which in 2020 it was the exact opposite. Georgia actually had voted to the left of North Carolina. Maybe there is a possibility in which North Carolina does vote to the left of Georgia. But as of right now, Trump's ahead by 0.6%. The latest poll with 1,000 likely voters conducted from October 5th to the 8th. The Hill and Emerson, highly rated pollsters on 538 as well, has Trump up by 1 in this state, a tilt margin, which is actually less than his margin of victory in 2020. He actually won it by over 1 percentage points. So this is not looking good for Donald Trump. And obviously, a number of these pollsters has Trump up by either 1 or 2 percentage point. Kamala Harris is not leading at all, besides one poll from like 1 month ago from Atlas Intel, or actually 3 weeks ago. She's up by 3. I'm not going to trust that. Literally every other pollster has Trump up by either 1 or 2 points in this state. It's going to be close no matter what, but I just don't believe Kamala has a chance in North Carolina at all. Obviously, you have the hurricane, so maybe that can sway the votes one way or another, but I'm not sure how that's going to impact. And now we move on to some of these Rustbelt states, starting off with Minnesota. Obviously, this is the home state of the governor. Obviously, the VP selection for Kamala Harris, Tim Walz. So I do think maybe he can help her because obviously he's literally the governor here and her VP at the same time. But according to the RCP averages, she's up by almost 5 points, 4.7%, which is less than Joe Biden's obviously polling in 2020. He was up by 8 points on average. The polling error was obviously 1 point off because he won it by 7, even though they had him up by 8. So realistically, Kamala Harris actually wins by a little bit under 4 percentage points. A lean margin regardless. She's still going to win Minnesota, and I do agree with that as well. I have her winning it by close to 5 to maybe 6 percentage points if things go in her way. And then as for Wisconsin, things get interesting because Wisconsin, out of any other battleground state, with the exception of New York, obviously it's a solid blue state, had one of the worst polling errors, if not the worst polling error out of any other state. Right before Election Day, they had Biden up by 6 points. He only won it by 0.6%, which is less of a margin than Trump's victory in the state back in 2016, a margin of 20,000 votes. All it takes for Donald Trump is to flip 20,000, the minds of 20,000 voters, and that's probably going to happen, in my opinion. Also, Wisconsin was the reddest Rustbelt state, not only in one election, in 2020, in 2016, and the Obama era as well. Wisconsin had voted to the right of both Pennsylvania and Michigan, which is why I think the polls will be off in this state. As of right now, it's currently basically a toss-up, a tie 50-50 for either candidate, but Kamala Harris has this slight narrow advantage by 0.4%. And if it continues in this direction, this is decreasing. Her chances are decreasing. She was up by more than just 0.4 a week ago. So if it trends in this direction, Trump eventually will take the lead, which I think realistically right now he is winning in Wisconsin. But it's going to be tougher according to the polls. I will have to, unfortunately, disagree with this. I don't expect her to have skyrocket turnout in Milwaukee. That's the only reason why Biden won this state. And I expect Trump to flip Door County and one of the numbers in Green Bay, some of these stronghold Republican counties as well. And now we get to the main focus of this video, which is literally a title. Trump is now flipping Michigan, which Kamala Harris was originally winning this state. And now, yes, Trump was also winning Michigan when Biden was in the race, but he never let it when Kamala Harris was in this race or replacing Joe Biden until this very moment, up until now. So he's actually winning by more of a margin than he is in Pennsylvania. So he's up by 0.8. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, he's up by 0.3, which I think is not accurate because Pennsylvania actually voted to the right of Michigan. In 2020, Michigan voted was the bluest state of the three, the exact opposite of Wisconsin. It voted to the left of both Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Considering Trump got shot in Pennsylvania, I think that can really drive turnout. And Pittsburgh, some of these stronghold Democratic counties as well, including Philadelphia, the suburbs as well. I think he's going to flip Erie County. And obviously, Butler County is right next door to a number of these counties I just mentioned. Pittsburgh, Erie, Central County as well. I think he's going to improve, not necessarily win that county, but he will do better than his 2020 numbers, similar to 2016, if not even better when you do apply that polling error. But now we go back to Michigan. Yes, he takes the lead for the first time ever since Biden had dropped out in this race, because he was leading when Biden was in the race in Michigan by, on average, like 3 percentage points. So this is going to be a tilt margin for the former president in both of these states, Pennsylvania and Michigan, giving him 296 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 242. This is the finalized map according to the RCP as of right now. With that large uncommitted vote, when we go back to Michigan, 100,000 voters roughly voted uncommitted in the Democratic primaries. It goes to show you that the Democrats don't have the enthusiasm in this state. I expect Trump to do significantly better in Dearborn County. Dearborn, I expect to shift to the right because of that large uncommitted vote, obviously. And also, one of the, I believe, mayors in the state of Michigan actually endorsed Donald Trump, a Democratic mayor. Literally, the Democratic mayor of a Michigan county literally endorsed Donald Trump. Obviously, he has all the momentum going into this state. The Democrats are so desperate that they have to literally have Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, who is literally not going to do anything to get out the vote, campaign for Kamala Harris. When you see the Democrats have Barack Obama campaign for a candidate on the toppest of their ticket, literally campaign for them, that goes to show you that they're realistically having bad internal polling data, and they are actually the underdogs, which Kamala Harris literally said in one of his rallies, that they are the underdogs. And realistically, Donald Trump is favored to win this election. So basically, I disagree with, I agree with every single state, besides the margins, some of the margins, with the exception of Nevada and Wisconsin. I disagree with those states. So if you guys go, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below on this map. Do you agree with the RCP polling? And also, do you think Trump will flip Michigan, which was basically the highlight of today's video, obviously with that title, because it is official. First time ever he is winning Michigan against Kamala Harris. Obviously he was against Joe Biden. So don't forget to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content, press the like button, share this video. We do have memberships. You can find a link to that in the description section. That's pretty much it. Thank you everyone for watching.